Welcome to the Tough Decisions Network. This is our special Saturday edition called Step Up Your Game with Dan. I'm your host, Dennae Handford, and I'll be discussing topics to help you make better decisions to increase your productivity, increase your sales, and improve your overall marketing. Visit toughdecisions.net to sign up for our free weekly entrepreneur email. Before we get started, let's hear from one of our sponsors. Have you ever thought about investing in real estate, but find yourself so busy that you don't have time for it? Do you have FOMO, which is the fear of missing out? At HandfordCapital.com, we help investors with passive real estate investments that project better returns than traditional investment vehicles such as the stock market. If you'd like to find out more about our passive real estate investments, visit HandfordCapital.com. That's HANDFORD Capital.com. We will jump on a call with you to discuss your investment goals and to see if our investments are a good fit for you. This advertisement is not to be construed as an offer or recommendation to buy or sell a security. Visit HandfordCapital.com.
Welcome to the Tough Decisions Saturday show. This is your host, Dan Handford. I am recording this all the way from Amelia Island, Florida, and I'm standing outside our beach house right now that we've rented to do some 2019 planning. And so, as most of you know, if you followed us enough, you realize that my wife and I are in the real estate investing space, and we do what's called multifamily syndication. And so you can find more information out about that by going to multifamilyinvestornation.com and checking us out a little bit there. But what I wanted to talk to you about today was about planning for the new year, planning for this 2019. I know yesterday we had a podcast where we kind of talked a little bit about some of the planning, some things we did in 2018 and some things we're going to be doing in 2019. But what I want to talk to you about is your goals. Because obviously, you know, this time of year, we hear a lot of things about goals and goal setting and see a lot of posts on Facebook and Twitter and all over the place. And there's a lot of misinformation out there that I think that is guiding people in the wrong way. And so one of the things I wanted to do today is talk to you about how you can set your goals in a way that actually pulls you in the right direction instead of being pushed. So I feel like being pulled in a certain direction is really where you should focus your goal setting. And to give you an example of that, you've probably seen many people that are in the fitness industry and you wonder, you know, how do they stay so fit? I'm by no means fit. Any of you have seen me, but I'm not trying to say that's what I'm doing as far as I'm just giving you an example. But as far as being fit is concerned, you look at somebody who is fit or has a little high level of athletic fitness, you see them and you go, how do they do that? Well, in many cases, these athletes, these elite professional athletes are setting themselves goals into the future. For example, they'll have a race or a meet or a game or a challenge or something like that they're working towards. They're always working towards something. So it's not pushing them, it's actually pulling them towards that goal. Registering for, you know, a 5K or an Ironman or a 10K or whatever it is, or a tennis match or whatever the case may be, that is really what you want to try to focus on, is trying to set yourself goals for dates and deadlines to make sure that you actually get it done. And to make sure that you don't continue to always move and push those dates back, you have to do it with other people. So that's that part of that is that accountability aspect of setting goals and reaching and starting to be able to be pulled towards your goals. Another example of it is what we've done right now, which is with the Multifamily Investor Nation. So the Multifamily Investor Nation, we have a summit coming up. It's an online virtual summit. I came up with this idea to do this after interviewing one of our podcast guests, Scott Carson, here on our podcast. You can go to our website, toughdecisions.net, and search for his name on our website, just Scott Carson, and you will see the episode that I did about events and event planning, which just released a couple of weekends ago on one of our Saturday episodes. So you can go check it out. I would encourage you to do that because it's a very, very good episode. Scott is very, helpful in opening up and sharing his knowledge. But I recorded that about mid-November, I think, early to mid-November of 2018. And what I did immediately to make sure I was being pulled is I set the dates for when I was going to do my very first online virtual event called the Multifamily Investor Nation Summit. We're going to be getting over 1,000 multifamily investors all under one webinar. They have 2 separate rooms going on at the same time. We already have over 55 speakers already registered, and they're going to be coming in and sharing their information. And so what I did there is I set the date. And I started promoting and I started marketing. And so it was pulling me to make sure that I got the speakers. I started off only getting only wanting to get like 30 speakers, thinking that was going to be really hard. And I will say it was a challenge. It was hard, but it pulled me in that direction. And now we have over 55 speakers that are coming to this event, sharing about everything around multifamily investing. So those are a couple of examples of what we do and how we, set goals and try to make sure we're always being pulled. One of the things moving into 2019 myself, personally that I'm going to be doing, which I know some of you might be doing as well, is having some lifestyle changes. So when you sit there and you look at, let's just give you an example like your weight, right? So I right now am overweight. And my goal is to get down to a certain amount of weight. So I want to get down, say 90 pounds, right? I want to drop 90 pounds of weight. Well, I can just go, I want to drop 90 pounds of weight by X date, let's do it. But what's the more effective way to do that? A more effective way to do that would be to have that accountability, set dates in mind, and actually put a date on the calendar and say, this is the date that I'm going to do this. Add that accountability piece to it. You have to do that with somebody else. So find out what you're good at, what you like to do, what's fun. Like for me, I like playing tennis. I like playing racquetball. I like playing golf. I like running. I don't do it very often, obviously, because that's why I'm overweight. But I do enjoy it. I just haven't put anything in place to pull me in that direction. And so to be able to have the accountability and pull yourself in those directions to actually get you to that space, that's really, really important to have that accountability and setting deadlines and setting dates. And the biggest problem with any type of goal setting is once you achieve that goal, once you actually get to that date, then you get to that point of saying, what's next? What's next for me? Because all of a sudden, that date is come and gone, and you go back to your old ways. You go back to your old lifestyle. You go back to doing things that weren't productive, that cause you to gain more weight. So then once you hit that goal or hit that date, you have to go to the next one. You have to set the next one. Otherwise, you won't have anything else to achieve and anything else to push yourself to the point of being able to be pulled, right? You got to set those dates, set those deadlines, and be able to achieve a higher level of success. And so another example, before I wrap it up here, is about when I created my non-surgical orthopedic medical offices that I have. So my wife and I have 5 medical offices that we own and run, and we started from scratch in South Carolina. And we started off with one and then made a goal and a plan that in 2 years and 24 months, we were going to get to the point of having 4 additional clinics, about 5 clinics. So what we did is we had a meeting with our entire team. We had like 10 people at that time. So our entire team of 10 people, we gathered them around for a meeting, and we said, this is what our goals are. This is what our plan is going to be. And we want you to help us get there. And we said 4 more clinics in 4 different locations and they're all about an hour and a half away, these clinics. And we're going to do it in 24 months. So I made the accountability, I artificially created it by telling somebody else about it to make sure that I knew that they looked to me as their leader, and they looked to me as their, chief executive officer, if you will, and I'm running this organization. If I say something, I better do it. I better fulfill that promise. I better fulfill that commitment. But then thankfully, we were able to achieve that in 18 months. So we created those 4 additional clinics earlier than we had projected. And so I afterwards, once we hit those goals and hit those targets, I went back to my team, those original 10 people, and said, did you believe that I would actually be able to do that? And I would say about half of them told me that they were kind of rolling their eyes inside their head. They're like, there is no way that that's going to happen. But now that they see that I did it, the next thing that comes up, they start to believe it. They start to get on board with it more. And a lot of those people that were with us at that time are still with us. Now we have over right at about 50 people that work in that organization that actually are running those clinics. So hopefully this was helpful to you about setting goals and kind of looking at that and moving into 2019. And the reason why I'm in Amelia Island, Florida, I'm here with 2 of my other partners and their wives. And we decided that every year we're going to get together in a beach house somewhere in the world and have a 3-day weekend of just getting out of our regular day-to-day operations and really focusing on the aspects of what we're going to do in that new year. And so I'd encourage you to kind of put some of those same things in place, make some traditions, but that's not the only time we meet throughout the year. We meet every single month, right? So this is really just a main overview, 30,000-foot, planning session to make sure that we go into 2019 with a bang. So thank you guys for joining us. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Tough Decisions Network. Be sure to visit toughdecisions.net to gain access to show notes for this episode and to join our free weekly entrepreneur email where we will send you news about the latest technology for your business, inspiring quotes, and the latest books for entrepreneurs. That's toughdecisions.net.